Okay, so we have short-sided ourselves here on the par 4 second, and we've got a bit of trouble. So we've got a very, very steep lip, and we've short-sided ourselves, so not a lot of green to work with. And a lot of guys I teach on a day-to-day basis, they would really struggle with this shot. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is create the exact setup that we are looking for. Okay, and if you stay to the end, I've got a magic solution that's really going to help you get out every single time. Okay, so what do we need? Well, first of all, in this setup position here, we need to create loft. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to get the ball forward in our stance. I must say that we need to take the correct club as well. So I've got my 58-degree wedge. You might use your 60, you might use a 56, but in a situation like this, we need as much loft as we can. So 58 or 60 would be perfect. But then not only do we need to have the correct club, we need to create the correct setup that's going to allow us to achieve the loft and the outcome that we're looking for. Okay, so get that ball forward in the stance. And then from there, we can then take our wide stance where it's just wider than shoulder width, and we are going to turn that left foot out, turn that lead foot out. It makes it so much easier to rotate through and clear ourselves through the shot. I'm going to preset this club so it's slightly open. We don't want it too open where it exposes too much bounce, but we want that club slightly open. And then with that said, we are going to get our toe line. So again, it is just slightly open to that target. Okay, and then from this position, where I see a lot of guys go wrong is they tend to have their hands too far forward. Okay, so when those hands get too far forward, we are exposing too much of this leading edge. So what I see a lot of guys doing is they get too steep into the ball and they really struggle with strike. We get lots of fats and lots of thins. The other thing I see is, especially on this type of shot, I see so many guys leaning back. Okay, so because of the severity of the lip, guys tend to lean back, and what happens there? Well, we start to lose that low point control. We hit too far back, and then we would catch that sand far too early, bounce it up and hitting the ball. What I would suggest as a starting point, draw yourself a line in the sand. Okay, so we can get this nice line in the sand, and as a drill, I would try and get yourself try and hit this line half a dozen times. Get in position, get used to hitting that line. If we can hit down and through on that line, we're going to have confidence that we can get the ball out. What else does it do? Well, it also gives you that feedback that you're looking for. So if we hit a little bit back, we know our weight has fallen back. If we go forward, maybe we've got ahead of it as well. So really focus on hitting this line, get used to controlling that low point. And then, as I said, the big thing, instead of getting those hands forward, we want these hands in a neutral position. You'll also see from behind here that I'm very low. Okay, so again, I see a lot of guys getting too upright, where it's very difficult to create loft from that position. We want to get as low as we can, where this butt end is between our knees, or certainly as a feeling. Okay, then once we're in that position, it's much easier to maintain that loft. Okay, that's the big thing. So if we're in position here, we've done all the things we want to do, and we can then maintain that loft through the ball. Okay, and a lot of that is achieved in the setup. Okay, so that's the key thing I want to stress. Again, ball forward, hands nice and low, maintain that loft. So you'll see how low I am in this position here, and again, that ball is just going to pop out very nicely. Finally, I want you to think about what this club is doing. We want to get as much loft as we can through the shot. So we know we want that weight forward all the time, but as you're coming through, I want you to let the weight of the club head just pass the hands through the shot. So I don't want you to get any sort of shaft lean as we might do in the full swing. I want you to let the weight of that club head pop through. Okay, so you can see how I'm using the bounce correctly as it's passing my hands through the shot. Okay, so in position, we're just going to let that weight of that club head fall onto the ball, and we can see that ball just pop out nicely. Okay, so what we might think is a very daunting shot, actually if we get the correct setup and the correct execution, we can make it much easier than it should be. Just a reminder guys, if this is your first time watching the channel, I post weekly content like this to help you improve your game. As always, please like and subscribe, post any comments down below. I'll look forward to seeing you again very soon.